Superman is one of my favorite superheroes, but in an age where most B-list superheroes such as Iron Man and Thor are becoming more popular and loved by the masses, the depiction of Superman on the big screen became more divisive, with Snyder's interpretation of the character, who I personally respect, but that is just not Superman to me. Now, I don't watch the CW shows, and I had seen the first season of The Flash, which I adore. But other than that, I hadn't seen anything else. But I decided to give Superman and Lois a shot, and what can I say? It just feels so refreshing for me to see a version of Superman that feels like the essential version of the character. It gets the basics of the superhero right and made Superman one of my favorite superheroes once again. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about why I love this show. Superman and Lois brings everything back to basics. It contains the most recognizable form of these characters, yet also thrusts upon them a new set of challenges. Clark and Lois are now in Smallville instead of Metropolis. They're married and they have two teenage sons. Now, one main problem with Superman is that he's very difficult to write for, and that's mainly because of how overpowered he is, which makes it difficult for the writers to introduce conflict. Now, kryptonite can work as conflict, but that makes for external conflict, which can get stale if done multiple times. But the genius way the writers introduce internal conflict for Superman is by taking his greatest weakness and bringing it to the forefront, which is that he cares too much. His two sons, Jason and Jonathan, are teenagers and go through problems and issues that most teenagers happen to face. The two brothers are also quite different from one another. Jonathan is more confident and a bit of a jock at school, meanwhile, Jordan is quite the opposite. He has anxiety issues and doesn't have many friends, but every character in the show has depth and their own set of personal problems that ground them and make them engaging and allows us to care about them. Since Jordan is Clark's son, he also gets the powers of Superman, and since he's a kid, the arrival of the superpowers arrives with its own set of challenges, and Jordan has to suffer the consequences of having powers and learning to use and control them. Clark and Jordan connect more because they share superpowers, meanwhile, Lois and Jonathan connect by being the only normal humans in the family. But every family member has great chemistry with each other, and I really felt that they are flawed people that care about each other very much. And when I said they had chemistry, I meant it.
You told my dad to keep 7734?
I did. I should have talked to you first.
Jonathan, upstairs!
Jonathan has his own set of issues as he faces struggles to find a place in his football team, and his girlfriend, who's living in an urban city, breaks up with him because Jonathan had shifted to Smallville, and we get to see how this gets to affect Jonathan, and his family is left to acknowledge the sacrifice he had made for the family. And despite the constant tussles he has with Jordan, they care about each other, and Jonathan isn't afraid to stand up for his brother when the time requires it. Meanwhile, Clark too has to face these internal problems regarding the family. Many times he finds it hard to connect to his sons and he just wants to help anyone in any way he can. And that is Superman to me. Superman always looks out for the best interests of people and is always willing to help anyone simply because
it's right.
but this time, not only do we get to see the Man of Steel struggling with the weight of the world on his shoulders, we also get to see him struggling with the responsibilities of being a father, and this just grounds him on a more human level, making it easier for us to connect with him. We also get to see Clark attempting to balance the life of a superhero and that of a parent and husband, which is very Spider-Man 2 like. Many times he's forced to leave his loved ones for the safety of the world, and his family understands, but there's a sense of longing that's ever present. Clark isn't perfect too. He makes mistakes and isn't afraid to apologize to his wife or kids. He too is just like us, flawed and human, who's learning and growing by the minute. Lois too is an extremely compelling character. She is firm, she's stern, and she knows what she wants. Externally, she's trying to figure out what's wrong with the antagonist of the series, Morgan Edge, but she too has internal conflict as she is a mother and has to be strict many times. But she also has to be empathetic to her son's situation and makes mistakes. She has her own set of fears as well, considering she had gone through an abortion before. But Lois is vulnerable too. Sometimes she feels like she is not a priority to Clark because of all the saving that he has to do repeatedly. And she also shares this beautiful relationship with Clark that is clearly built on a mature level of love and understanding. Even many of the supporting characters of the series have depth, and so do the antagonists. There's a version of Lex Luthor from an alternate universe who intends to kill Superman, but he has an understandable and sympathetic motivation. And there is another secret villain in the series who's really well done. Smallville really feels like a place, and the writing of the show puts special emphasis on the town itself and how its people can come together for the betterment of the place. There's a beautiful sunset on the background that really provides a glow to the town of Smallville and really feels like a place where Superman grew up. Plus, we get to see Superman actually save people, and that's something we don't get to see much these days in superhero projects. But we see Superman saving and inspiring the common folk. The CGI isn't always great, but when the writing is so stellar, it just did not matter to me. Superman and Lois is a magnificent show that has three dimensional characters with their own set of internal conflicts that fleshes them out as real people and progresses their characters and arcs in each and every episode. It's cheesy as hell and its heart is in the right place. It's a near perfect iteration of the character of the Man of Steel and is one of my personal favorite DC shows, and I'm really glad it exists and I cannot wait to see what's to come in season 2. Thank you for watching.